Hello, good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. So go ahead and put those questions in the comments and I will answer. I also come with a great topic to talk to you about, the topics that I think are important for you to know about. And so today I'm going to be talking about applying for the green card and at the same time applying for forgiveness for a past immigration violation while you're applying for a green card. Whenever you have had an immigration violation or a criminal issue in your past, don't assume that you can't apply for the green card. That's where getting a consultation is very important to see what can be done. Hi there, Opal. So nice to see you. What can be done to address that past issue, because there are waivers that are available if you have had some trouble in the past, but now you're looking at fixing that situation and getting permanent residence. Now, I'm going to touch on some ways that you can gain forgiveness for past immigration violations while you're applying for permanent residence. Let me remind you that I'm here to answer your immigration questions as well. Put those questions in the comments and I will answer. So I see here on YouTube, Opal, it's always nice to see you. Thanks for your question. And the question here is, if my husband is to file for me, do I need a police record from my home country? So it depends on what's going on in your process. If you're going through the adjustment of status process, it may not be required. However, if you do have a past issue with the police, so if you've had a past arrest, you've had a past conviction in your country, you will probably need to get the at least the arrest report. And they have to be certified. So the arrest report as well as the disposition of the court, meaning the court record that shows what you were convicted for and the sentence. But generally, when you're going through adjustment of status, that means you're here in the United States, they also run a background check themselves. And so they don't request, unless there's some special circumstances involved, they don't usually request the police record from your home country. All right, so now keep in mind, Opal, that this is not specific legal advice. This is general information. So I don't know what the case could be for you, but always get legal advice and never act on the information that I'm giving you here. It's based generally on my experience, but it does not mean that that's going to be the case with your situation. So apply for citizenship March 2020, biometrics June 2021, no interview date as yet. Any idea how long? I'm so sorry. So Coolie Gal, unfortunately, I wouldn't know that. You would have to check on your case directly. I know that with my cases right now, they're taking an average of 2 to 6 months. That does not mean that that should be the case for you. It may be the location, it may be that they're reviewing additional items, and it may be that you need to check on your case to make sure everything is going well. Just because if you applied in March 2020, it's 2 years, that seems long compared to what the wait times are for my kinds of cases. So you should go ahead and check on your case, make sure they have it, make sure that everything is going well with your processing, that they haven't sent out a request for evidence. And I don't know what's going on in your case, but there might be additional factors involved in that long wait time. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. Now, let's talk about waivers. This is what we call the application that you submit to get forgiveness for a past violation. Now, my rule of thumb is that if you have had any issues, problems, troubles in the past, violations in the past, don't assume that you're not going to qualify for the green card. There may be ways around it, and I'm going to talk about one of these solutions. And we call it the I-601 waiver or the extreme hardship waiver. And it depends the basis of that waiver, what we submit with that waiver, the legal arguments we submit with the waiver. It's going to depend on what the problem was in the first place. All right, so another question. If I change my last name to my husband's, what name should I file under? So I don't talk about specific information on the forms. If you have changed your name legally and you have the right to do that through marriage, then you could always file under the name that you're using. However, keep in mind, Opal, that I'm not your attorney and I can't tell you exactly what you need to fill out on the forms. When it comes on to the forms or questions about filling out the forms, I don't address these on the live just because that really, I have to know my clients well. And I only complete these forms after I have for my own clients, and I don't discuss filling out forms with other individuals. So make sure you get legal guidance. If in doubt, get representation. All right, let's see if we have some more questions. I wanted to file for my mom. She got in trouble in New York, but a lawyer told her because I'm her daughter, even though I bought a house. So I think a piece of that is missing. So can you please repeat that question? So your mom got into some trouble. I'm gonna try to fill in the blanks here. With your mom getting into trouble, if it's a criminal issue, then she may be able to qualify for a waiver, but it's going to depend on the type of criminal conduct. So, for example, if it's involving drug trafficking, there is no waiver for drug trafficking unless she was in possession or had a simple charge or possession of marijuana that's under 30 grams. Outside of that, there's no waiver for drug trafficking. However, there are waivers if you have been convicted for other types of criminal conduct. And those with this, as the U.S. citizen daughter, if you are a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident daughter, you could argue, or she could argue, that you will have extreme hardships that will prevent you'll have extreme hardships if your mom does not get the green card or doesn't get forgiven for the inadmissibility caused by criminal conduct. So that's the first thing with the criminal waiver. If it's something like unlawful presence, or it may be unlawful presence at the same time. If it's unlawful presence, then she would also have to apply for the waiver, and as well as a waiver. So it's not really a waiver, but an application for permission to reapply. Now, keep in mind that if your mom is in the United States and you're a U.S. citizen, I see you said you're a U.S. citizen. If you're 21 and over, your mom may qualify for adjustment of status as long as she didn't enter the country without permission. If she did, then there's going to be another process that you would have to consider for your mom. So these waivers can be a complex territory, and I am going into complex territory because it's important for you to know this information. But keep in mind that the best thing you can do is to schedule a consultation for me to really evaluate your case, get down to the nitty-gritty, and tell you exactly what will work for you. Because right now I'm making assumptions and I'm speaking in very general terms. Let's see. Now, another thing with the criminal waiver is that there are two ways to actually apply for this. So if you've had a criminal issue and there is a waiver available, that's where you should schedule the consultation to see if there's a waiver available. But if there is, then there's two ways. So if it's been more than 15 years since the criminal conduct, then you don't need to have a qualifying relative. You can show that you've been rehabilitated and it's not against national interest, public safety to let you get your permanent residence. Now, if it's been less than 15 years, at that point, you're going to need the qualifying relative. But in your case, you are a U.S. citizen daughter, and so you would be a qualifying relative here. All right, I'm going to keep going. Cydia, thanks for the greeting. Jewel McCoy, so nice to see you. Thanks for the greeting. I appreciate it. All right, so how long does NVC take to review all submitted documents? So I'm seeing an average time of 3 months just for them to review documentation. 2 years, marriage, green card, then travel back home. Coming at airport, I was asked about my asylum case. So that's very specific. And so if you are really worried about your situation, get legal representation for sure. Now, this is the situation. What I'll tell you, I don't know what your facts are, KBY, but if you applied for asylum and then you ended up going back to your country, then that would imply that you submitted what's called a frivolous or maybe even fraudulent asylum application just to gain status in the United States. That may be the assumption on the part of the immigration officer. That's why when you do apply for asylum, it's important for you to understand the full implications of it. It must be a valid application just because, usually if it is a valid application, they're assuming that you cannot return to your country, because the whole point of asylum is that you fear returning to your country. You will face persecution throughout your country, not just in one section, but throughout your country. And so you cannot go back to your country. And so even though it seems like somewhere along the line, you got a marriage-based green card, they're still looking at that and saying, well, asking questions about what were your intentions to apply for asylum if you're now returning to that country again. So if you have concerns, just make sure you are protected and you get legal representation. Can you get a green card if illegal entry but spouse is a U.S. citizen? It's possible, but here's the important thing that you need to know. When you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen and you come into the country with a visa, you overstay, you could still qualify for adjustment of status. However, if you come in without inspection, that means nobody let you in, you didn't get permission in any way, nobody inspected your documents, at that point, you would not qualify for adjustment of status. But there is another way, and it's the waiver process. So you could still apply to obtain forgiveness for overstaying, for the unlawful presence. And then you would be allowed to, once you can stay in the country, to apply for the petition, stay in the country for the waiver. But as soon as your green card interview is scheduled, it's going to be scheduled at the embassy in your country, for example, and you will have to book your ticket to go to the interview. The good thing about the waiver is if it's approved, and it's a good thing you brought this up, because this is the waiver that I'm talking about, Cami. This is another type of waiver. This waiver, it forgives unlawful presence. So if you've been here, you know you crossed the border without permission, you get approved for this waiver, it will allow you to leave the country, go to the interview at the embassy, and that will not be held against you. So as long as you don't have any other issues in your background, you would be able to still obtain the immigrant visa and come back to the United States. So I am in Boca Raton, Florida. Jamaican Yaya. However, keep in mind that as an immigration attorney, I run a national practice and I am allowed to represent my clients all over the country. I represent clients all over the world, as a matter of fact. If you have a U.S. immigration issue, I can represent you. As U.S. immigration attorneys, we have to work with the USCIS offices, immigration courts, U.S. embassies all over the United States and the globe. So I was selected for DV lottery, but I made an error my name during entry. With my name during the entry? What can I do? So, there are ways that you could submit a correction. However, I don't know at what point in the process. It sounds like it was when you were entering your name. But at some point in the process, you'll have to make a correction. And now, if you've just made an error on your name and everything else is correct, then it could just be seen as a scrivener's error, but you'll have to make that correction. Okay, so it's been over 15 years. So definitely schedule an appointment. Your mom should be involved in the appointment. And then let's talk about your situation and get started on the process should she qualify. I've been waiting for my work permit from 2020. Now my case has turned into a VAWA case. My lawyer wrote to the ombudsman. They said they are not taking my request at this time. Now my lawyer sent to the Congress. I've been waiting for a while. Now, can you tell me how long do I need to wait? So it's what's happening here is because it's a VAWA case, it's going according to the case processing time for VAWA. And the reason the ombudsman might not be reviewing the case is because you're still within the case processing times. The Congress contacting a congressperson can be helpful. And I don't know what your situation is. It sounds like you have a lawyer, Cydia. But if you're facing certain extraordinary circumstances, such as an urgent humanitarian need, or if there was an error on the USCIS side, contacting the USCIS or a congressperson may be helpful in your case. But how your case is going to go is really going to come down to your attorney. You should make sure to communicate with your attorney. Make sure they explain to you what's going on, and usually these are tools that you can use, but they're not necessarily guaranteed. And it's going to come down to who you contact as a congressperson, because each office functions differently. They may even have different approaches to your situation, just depending on their priorities. So you have to just keep communicating with your attorney. Unfortunately, for VAWA, to get a decision on the VAWA cases, they are backed up. It is backed up, and because of that, we're seeing case processing times anywhere from 12 months to up to 2 years or more. So keep that in mind. That may be one of the reasons why they've decided that they're not going to look at your case, because it may still be within case processing times, especially if the VAWA was filed in 2020. But defer to your attorney, because if you have an attorney, that person is going to be the person that knows your case, that can advise you and give you what you need regarding your current pending case. All right, let's see. So Selena, go ahead, call, schedule, and we will talk about your case, and I can definitely help you wherever you are in the country. I can help you as long as it's an immigration issue. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. So now I see a number of comments here that say that you are in need of help, and I can help you definitely. So in addition to coming on live and explaining different issues and answering your questions in general terms, I also represent my clients in immigration issues. So you can call and schedule an appointment. There is a scheduling coordinator who is available up until 10:30 p.m. tonight. Eastern time. So when you call, they'll be able to help you to schedule the appointment. If you go to the link, you go to the website, there are also tools available for you to schedule your own appointment if you go to the contact button or you click on the schedule an appointment. All right, so Congress, I've been waiting for a while. Now, can you tell me how long do I need to wait? Okay, so Cydia, you're welcome, Cydia. Okay, and now Sexy Tay, that's okay. If you're in Jamaica, guess what? I represent clients. My clients are all over the globe. I have my clients in countries in Africa, in Caribbean, in South America, in England, in Europe. So I can represent you no matter where you are. What I do for clients that are not close by, I do Zoom. So I do Zoom, and that's a video consultation, or I do phone. We do call our clients all over the world. So you being in Jamaica is not going to stop me from giving you the advice you need, as long as it's immigration related. So do you assist with visas? It's going to depend on what type of visa. So, and whether what you qualify for. So schedule an appointment. Let's talk about your issue, and then I can determine whether this is an issue that I can assist you with. All right. So I've run out of time. Thanks for all your questions. What I am going to do is I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm going to talk more about the waivers in more detail, because I got so many questions today. I didn't get to talk about the waivers in detail. What I will say in summary is that if you're facing an issue here, and the reason you're not applying for permanent residence is because you've had a criminal issue, you've had a past immigration violation, like you've had, maybe you've had a criminal issue, you've had unlawful presence where you overstayed, maybe you've had misrepresentation or fraud. And so you're afraid to apply because these do render you inadmissible, but there may be waivers available. Now, one of the major aspects of these waivers is usually, except in certain situations, you'll need to have a qualifying relative. And for, say, unlawful presence, misrepresentation, you need to have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent who will experience extreme hardship if you don't get the green card. And I can discuss your issues. We could go through it and then determine whether you meet that criteria. For the criminal issue, if you have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, a parent, or a child, you could qualify for a waiver. Or if the crime has happened more than 15 years ago, then you may be able to apply without even having qualifying relatives. So go ahead, schedule a consultation, and we will talk about what your issue is, because these waivers are very fact specific at the same time. And so I have to really sift through your details to determine whether the waiver would apply to you. So I am going to head out. Thanks so much for all your questions. So let's see, Sekibi 046, I'll get a hard time when applying for removal of conditions. So that's where KBY, you need to get representation. And you could start with a consultation, because it could be, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what conclusions the immigration officer came to, but it may be an issue, just depending on how things went. That's where the consultation is very important, because remember that the information I'm giving you here is general information. It's not personalized legal advice. And so you shouldn't be acting on it until you get the legal advice that you need, and in your case, KBY, maybe even representation. So let's talk more. Thanks for the love. I'm heading on over to Instagram. I'm the Immigration Attorney on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, ST Law Office, ST Law Office. That's the name of the law firm on Facebook. Join me there. We can continue this conversation. If I didn't get to your question, or if you didn't get to ask your question yet, the opportunity will be on Instagram or Facebook. So I'm hoping to see you there in a quick minute. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So continue to join me. I will be here Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time on TikTok and YouTube. So thanks everyone. I'll be back, and tomorrow I will talk about how the process looks when you're applying for a waiver. So I kind of touched on who qualifies for the waiver. You can always check in a consultation to see if this could be applied to you. The next thing we're going to talk about is what does this process look like tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.